I have been talking with friends and asking them, have you seen this? And they're like, no, I didn't know that was there. I want to share with you something very important that President Nelson has shared, as it feels to me pretty urgent and as a warning. And then it showed up also on his social media. So let me share my screen. Okay. So in the Liahona magazine for October, which this just posted, we're still in September, President Nelson has called for unity. And I just want to read a couple of paragraphs. Again, I have talked with several friends and they hadn't even seen this or heard this. And so I wanted to share it with you. And I am asking that you can, and I will put this link to President Nelson's message in the description box. I would love for you to think of 10 different people that you can lift this to them as not just a warning voice, but a beacon of hope for the times in which we are living. And I'm going to show you some headlines and some other things that are very important. And then at the very end, I'm trying to work on how I can get you this little goodie that I have for you to help your family with what President Nelson is calling for. And so I'll get to that at the end. But I just look at this, what he has just said. We live in an age when a surging tide of discord and disputation is spreading across the globe. Aided by technology and abetted by people whose hearts have waxed cold. Now, when you think about prophecies of the last days, and those scriptures will say that basically, and I'm paraphrasing, that in the future, men's hearts will wax cold. President Nelson now has put that past tense. When men's hearts are by people whose hearts have waxed cold. These, he continues, divisive forces threaten to fill our hearts with contempt. Now pause here and think about contempt. Have you felt contempt from someone else towards you? The pain of what that feels like when somebody is looking at you with contempt. And then I think, have I ever, oh my goodness, have I ever looked at someone else with contempt? So these forces that are being abetted by people whose hearts have waxed cold and then being aided by technology are threatening to fill our hearts with contempt. Can contempt be at the same time with the Holy Spirit? And then President Nelson continues, and corrupt our communication with contention. Communal ties are breaking. And I'm going to be analyzing this after I share a couple of headlines with you on just what that means to have our communal ties breaking. It is urgent. And I'm not surprised, as I've thought about this, that President Nelson, in addition to this being in the magazine for next month, because we have elections coming up, but he also has put this out on social media, trying to get the word out before we have General Conference. And then he says, wars are raging. So what do we do about this? He gives several pieces that I'm going to share, and then I'm going to be moving to the headlines, and then a couple of other things where what can we do? What can we do? But one of the quickest ways is to share this address from him with at least 10 different people, because the people that I've been talking with hadn't even been aware. And so that's why I thought I'm just going to come in and do a Saturday episode. I don't normally do one on Saturday, but this just has been weighing on my mind. So after he shares this information, it's pretty clear. He's using pretty strong words. This is a warning. He says, against this backdrop, true followers of Jesus Christ yearn for peace and actively seek to build a different kind of society. I have to stop here for just a moment. There was a time where my health was so difficult that I was really needing to drop all yummy foods. And it was being very hard for me because I'm a dessert girl and I love certain kinds of foods. But every time I was having a difficult time, maybe not so much as feel sorry for myself, but maybe a feel sorry for myself moment, I felt this little whisper come as if it were coming from the Savior. Do you love me more than these? And I knew immediately what that meant. It meant, do you love me more than those desserts that are hurting your body right now? You're needing to heal in your health. And every time that I felt a longing for something or something was difficult, that phrase would come, do you love me more than these? And then I started noticing, like, if I was feeling some frustration with somebody, or maybe not enmity, but just having a hard time in a personality moment or whatever, I would feel that same phrase. Do you love me more than this? This meaning the emotion that I was feeling right then. And I thought, you know what? I do love thee more than I want to be angry right now, or I do love thee more than I want to be right now. And it would help me. So as I think about President Nelson, true followers of Jesus Christ, and I'm trying to be one, I am so not perfect, but true followers of Jesus Christ yearn for peace. I think that's the replacement, right, for everything else that's not peace, and actively seek to build a different kind of society. I'm going to show you some ideas at the end. One that is founded on the teachings of Jesus Christ. To this end, the Lord has charged us to be one. To be one. And if you're not one, you are not mine. And then President Nelson continues, indeed, unity is a hallmark of the true church of Jesus Christ. So how do we work against the forces of division and contention? How do we achieve unity? Because I personally believe that you and me and our loved ones, when we have these skill sets, we live this way. So President Nelson gives some profound points, and I'm not going to read these to you. I'm going to put the link so that you can go and study this. And I invite you to do this with your family, with friends, to discuss amongst yourselves. What does it mean to have conversion to Jesus Christ? What does it mean to have covenants in our lives? And how do these things contribute toward unity with one another? Conversion, covenants, fairness, equality, helping the poor. How does this help with unity? To discuss with our family, he gives a variety of points. Obedience. How does obedience help us become unified as a society? It starts with us first, right? Many people have never had this modeled for them. So we started, right? So that we can help others. Meeting together. I loved this. We need to meet together. It is an important opportunity to find strength both individually and collectively. I'm going to show you some studies that are jaw-dropping about this right here. And especially, I'm going to go back up here when he says communal ties are breaking. I'm going to show you the research in just a little bit. And it's heartbreaking what's happening, but we can make a difference clearly because President Nelson believes in us. Meeting together for friendship, love, right? For unity, but all these others, divine identity. How, when we finally come to that, and how do we help our loved ones come to a moment of divine identity? Because when we do, we discover unity with others. And then this, to be one. Here's the promise from President Nelson. And then I'm going to show you some headlines, and I'm going to show you some research that's kind of jaw-dropping. And then I'm going to give a suggestion of what we can do about this. So make sure to stay to the end. Here's what President Nelson says. God has invited all to come unto him. That means even me. I have felt so in awe that the Savior would redeem and rescue even me. And when President Nelson says God has invited all to come unto him, I celebrate that because I'm like, that means even me. But there may be some people that you know who might feel like I have felt. And this message could be such a profound, exciting message for them that God has invited all to come unto him. There is room for everyone, President Nelson says. We may differ in our cultures, politics, ethnicities, tastes, many other ways, but as we unite in Jesus Christ, such differences fade in their significance and are superseded by our overriding desire to be one. That's where it starts. That's where we're able to say, yes, I love Jesus more than this argument, being right in this argument or whatever it is. But this overriding desire to be one so that we may be his, to be his best friends. That's what I want to be. I want to be one of his best friends. And I'm so grateful to be here with you. I've been so grateful for the community of the people that are commenting and sharing here. Each one of us reaching out and lifting another. So President Nelson says, take to heart the lessons taught in 4th Nephi as each of us strives to incorporate these essential elements of unity into our lives, it may be said of us as it was of them, surely there could not be a happier people among all the people who had been created by the hand of God. So I've been thinking, how many of my friends understand this warning that he has just given? I want to review it very quickly, and then I'm going to show you those headlines. We live in an age when a surging tide of discord and disputation is spreading across the globe, aided by technology, abetted by people whose hearts have waxed cold. These divisive forces threaten to fill our hearts with contempt and corrupt our communication with contention. Communal ties are breaking, and I'm going to show you in just a moment why that was chilling for me because of the research that I know. Wars are raging. So there are two things that are urgent for me in this. There's the societal level, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. And then there's the internal level, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. And then something that we can all do, and a goodie that I want to get to. So I'm just going to show you a couple, but this headline just appeared September 21st, 2024. And the headline is World War III nuclear war warning as Putin ally warns EU capital can be hit in minutes. We're talking about some pretty intense things right now. Here's another headline, US sleepwalking into World War III. Experts warn nation is underprepared. We do not have our Churchill. A worldwide war. When I think of the impact of World War II, these other wars, World War I, the impact on individual lives around the world. And President Nelson is asking for us to make a difference, to stop conflict, to be peacemakers, and to be one, because we can make a difference. So that is societally huge. And again, in the economic times, etc. But the next thing that I want to talk about just briefly for about a minute is the internal impact of conflict and contention. So this is from an address that was given at byu.edu, and I will include the links for this. But this is what research is showing on the internal impact. Kevin J. Worthen, who was president of Brigham Young University at the time, he points out to a large extent, the depth of our eternal happiness will be determined by the quality of our relationship with others. President Nelson has asked us to be peacemakers. He has given us this warning that communal ties are breaking, and I'm going to show you those stats. I wish to speak about a broader truth, one recognized in both secular studies and gospel teaching. It is that no one can flourish in isolation, and that the quality of our relationships with others will ultimately determine our level of fulfillment and happiness in both this mortal existence and the life to come. And I think about what conflict does. It divides. It divides. And even if we win the argument, this is what happens. We no longer have a flourishing relationship, and we are now feeling isolated. He then mentions an experience. He was helping teach a class at the University of Chile, and he was having the privilege of interacting with some indigenous people. And one of those leaders started talking about their religious faiths. And then the religious leader said something interesting. He said that in their understanding of their religious faith, the principal evil spirit existed all by himself, and that was what made him evil, according to this religious understanding. His eternal destiny was to be alone, and it was his loneliness that made him so angry and destructive. And I thought of today's world. How many people are angry and destructive because they're lonely and maybe doing really bad things, but they are lonely? And President Nelson has asked us to reach out. We don't have to reach out to all the billions of people on this earth, but we can reach out to just a few around us. Just a couple more quotes. Researcher Seligman reported social neuroscientist John Cacioppo has argued that loneliness is such a disabling condition that it is clear that the pursuit of relationships is rock bottom fundamental to human well-being. And then he talked about very little that is positive is solitary. When was the last time you laughed uproariously? The last time you felt indescribable joy? The last time you sensed profound meaning and purpose? The last time you felt enormously proud of an accomplishment? Even without knowing the particulars, of these high points of your life, I know their form. All of them took place around other people. And then we read, to a large extent, the depth of our eternal happiness will be determined by the quality of our relationships with others. And then look at this research. Did you know that having healthy relationships, understanding how to have strong connections, like President Nelson has asked us to do, he has sounded the alarm in next month's magazine. Communal ties are dying. But look at this. In a new study, now this is 2010, researchers report that social connections, those are communal ties, improve our odds of survival by 50%. In other words, you live longer when you have healthier connections. And then from this report, it says, and I'll pull up the title in just a moment, but this quote, a 5-minute conversation can make all the difference in the world if the parties participate actively. To make it work, you have to set aside what you're doing, put down the memo you were reading, disengage from your laptop, abandon your daydream, and bring your attention to bear upon the person you are with. Usually when you do this, the other person or people will feel the energy and respond in kind naturally. So I ask you, what have you seen and when have you felt communal ties being strengthened simply because someone reached out to you? And then can we do that for others? Yes. So my invitation for you, and I've just been so impacted by this call of President Nelson, it is a warning. When he says that communal ties are breaking. And when you look at what that means both for world war and also for internal health, this is dire. For a prophet to have to come out in a magazine and say communal ties are breaking, that we need unity, and then to have it show up in his social media again in the same week that this posted, it's super important. So my invitation for you is to not only share this, see if you can share it with 10 different people, the link, and I'll put the link to his magazine article, the prophet's words, in the description box below. If you can share that with your friends, just from the church's website, you don't have to share it from here. But then also to have a discussion with your family on the different components that our prophet has asked us to contemplate and think, from conversion and covenants and fairness, equality, helping the poor. He's listed a variety of things. And then as a family, to discuss these and to set a goal for your family from now until conference starts, which is in 2 weeks. What can you be working on so that by the time conference comes, you can show up with the conference sessions having increased the sense of bonding with yourself, with your loved ones, with perhaps your neighbors, your community, or even the world? And I have something that I'm trying to figure out how to get you. And I have titled it Amazing Progress. But it's a way as a family to write down what could you be doing for the next 14 days. And you can make your own. I just wanted to give you something, but I'm trying to figure out how to distribute it to you. So if you have any ideas, you can drop it in the comments below. I would love it. But it's a chance for you as a family to talk about what could you do for the next 14 days. In essence, to maybe to bring a gift to the world from your family, of building unity and setting aside all of the discord and helping instead to build community ties, because they are suffering, as you know. And then you can have each person pick their goal, and then they could be tracking it or however you want to do it. And then what worked and how did that work? Because, we might want to do another one once this is done. And then what are the next steps? And then any scriptures that helped. President Nelson has so many scriptures in here that you could dive into. So I would love to hear from you how this went for you, or what you have done that you have seen have an impact on building communal ties. I am so concerned about this also, that the next several episodes I'm going to be diving in. I have some other exciting resources to share with you. So I'm going to have this be a little bit of a theme as we're building up to General Conference. And then something else super exciting that I'm going to be doing also. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you want to, you can click on notifications or ring the bell so that you get notified right when an episode drops, because I may be doing some more, not emergency episodes, but some other extra episodes as we come closer to conference. And then finally, the thing that matters most to me is, will you put your arm around someone today? Maybe it's through a text, and let them know they're needed, that they are loved by God, and that they matter to you. You just may be the very means in saving a life and lifting someone who almost maybe was giving up. So, okay, that's all for now. I love you. Thank you for what you do, and I'll see you at the next episode. Bye-bye.